We are here in the finals division of the men's absolute for Copa, Virginia. Christian Banghart in the white and
Brian in the black. Christian hits a nice single right away. Brian looking for this single leg or straight ankle X position, single leg X position.
Yeah,
Christian
trying to
doing
collect
a
the
nice
ankles.
job exiting the leg entanglement there and resetting to Brian's butterfly guard. Christian nicely back on his hips. Brian trying to come in underneath with that head pressure.
Yeah, doing a good job here. Again, forcing Christian to play a little more at long range. Christian tends to like more of the body lock style passing in tight and close, although he can pass on the outside, and we've seen him do it for years.
Christian climbing in, putting a lot of weight into Brian's top leg. Brian trying to elevate him through that.
Yeah, Brian looks like he's looking for the leg lock entries from this position.
Christian not really letting that happen, though. As Brian elevates, he's moving his hips around Brian's hips, which prevents him from really entering into some of those leg entanglement positions that we know are more traditional. And Christian was able to use that momentum and that circle motion to get into this body lock position, which is where we know he likes to pass from.
Yeah, but I like that Christian is a guy that will hang on to it, use it situationally, but tends to not camp out there for long periods of time like we sometimes see with heavy body lock passers. He'll use it situationally, he'll settle you down, he'll try to get around your legs for a couple of seconds. If that's not working, then he'll then switch his passing up. It's one of the things I really like about Christian's game is how dynamic it is.
Christian with the double unders right now. Switches to over-under, hip flips. Brian does a nice job scooting one leg back in. He used a little bit of head control there to make sure that Christian couldn't fully circle around to finish the pass, and we end up back in butterfly guard here.
Yeah, really, really good of Brian to be able to get back to the butterfly guard so readily here. He got some longer legs, and so he's doing a really good job of being able to float Christian up back into pummeling the legs in to get him back to the butterfly guard, and they really get to the single leg X position that he's playing in a really open way that he seems to want to enter in the backside for leg locks here.
Christian doing a nice job elevating when he needs to clear legs without actually getting swept over.
And he's doing something that I like a lot, which is he's not completely disengaging from the legs. He's floating on them, moving to the outside, and then re-engaging into the legs. He's not just resetting the position every time.
And something that goes unnoticed a lot of times in these matches is that Brian is holding Christian's weight up with that bottom shin in these scenarios. Reset to center. And that holding that weight up can be quite exhausting. These are good athletes that we don't often think about getting tired out, but this position here with the Christian's weight bearing down on that top leg of Brian can get exhausting for that bottom player.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 points up right now for Christian with 4 minutes left to go. Again, still really anyone's match.
$500 to the winner of this match.
Christian again pummeling inside and outside of that top side leg of Brian. He looks to want to really go underneath it and do a hip switch pass into the half guard on that side.
Doesn't like the bite that he has on that, though. Christian backs out. Brian scooting in underneath, back into that butterfly. This time he's using a little bit of pull from the head, keeping Christian's posture broken down a little bit more than we'd seen before. Brian thinking about coming up on that leg now. This is a nice position for Brian to start grabbing feet and hitting inside singles or coming up into singles from, but also limits his mobility from the guard. And so we see him go back into that.
Brian does have to be careful, though, because if he stands up in that position, he may be considered a pull.
He gets just a slide-by pass from Christian on this, settles onto the position.
Yeah, 3 points.
Sort of passed out of nowhere there, gets an additional 3 points, takes Christian up 5-2, rolls through on the leg.
Is he going to be able to hit the knee bar?
Moving into outside Ashi, Brian does a nice job clearing the knee, getting back to guard. Christian gets an additional 2 points for that sweep there.
Yeah.
Christian is now up 7-0 with 2:45 left on the clock. Our ref breaks the action to recenter our athletes here. They scoot a little bit further from where we're calling the center of the mat.
Yeah, like we've cleared off the 3 mats that we had here all day here at Copa, Virginia, and given the athletes in this cash prize division a little more space to work, which we always like to see. Tend to get a better quality of jiu-jitsu and let guys really showcase their jiu-jitsu with a little more space.
Christian in Brian's butterfly guard. He's been here quite a bit this match.
Yeah, and he's really putting his hands on the hips and then popping up. But instead of popping like straight up, he's popping up and he's making a cross step to the side a little bit to really get so that he's only on one of Brian's butterfly guard hooks. And it really prevents the transition to a more long-range guard from Brian here.
Christian's also very comfortable floating on top of that leg.
Yeah, much more so than we're used to a lot of the bigger guys being as comfortable in this position.
Christian trying to keep control of that left leg of Brian's there.
Yeah, he's really forcing Brian to kind of sit up and not play his back in the butterfly as he kind of seems to want to. That also eliminates a lot of the single leg X transitions that we've seen Brian look for in a lot of these matches and in his earlier matches in this bracket.
1:30 left in the match. We have Christian up 7-0, settling into almost a cradle position for a second.
Yeah, he's doing a good job of stapling that low side leg of Brian, and it really forces the hips open with the top position on the leg that Christian has here. And it forces Brian to kind of make more space to be able to get his legs back to center and to come back to either a Z shield or to the butterfly we've seen him play so much this match.
Brian looking to elevate again. Christian kind of comfortable with it there. Settles back onto his feet. TP pressure in. And then is looking for that same pass that he hit earlier, just kind of moving gently around the outside with that TP pressure, controlling the hips.
Moves into
Settles
the side
into
control.
The side control again.
Christian did a great job there not over-committing because on the first kind of selection of that pass there was a possibility that Brian could have inverted to the legs there. So Christian stayed more so around the legs to prevent the inversion on the leg there. And then once it was clear, once he had kind of moved the hips over, then he went for the pass again. Like really, really thoughtful way in which he executed that pass. He didn't over-commit when he's up, but he did keep himself in position to continue to pass here.
Christian, heavy pressure on that face, moving into the knee ride here. This is the game plan that we've seen him play before.
Yeah, he's up 12-0. He did get hit with a stalling penalty right there.
Ref's just trying to push the pace of the action.
Yeah, and you appreciate that.
Yeah. Brian doing his best to get out. 1 second left. Christian takes this match 12-0, leaving the Copa Virginia cash prize division as champion. It's the second or third time possibly that we've seen Christian win here in this Copa Elite Absolute division.
Really phenomenal athlete. Love it every time we see him. Love it every time we get to commentate his matches. You know, he's got some great jiu-jitsu, and it's awesome to have him be able to showcase it off here for cash prizes. Support your local athletes. Support Copa Virginia. Support Copa Elite. And get to watch some great matches here during their tournaments. How you doing? We are here with Christian Banghart here at Copa Virginia, talking to men's absolute champion for the third time now. Christian, how you doing today? What was your game plan going into these matches?
Oh, man, I'm doing well, doing great. Blessed to be here, as always. The game plan, I was trying to be not too rigid with the plan. There was different skills here that I knew I'd be going up against. Each person I knew was going to bring different obstacles, some good guard players, some good top players, great wrestlers, combinations of the two. So I knew I would have to diversify depending on who was out there. It just so happened to be I was mostly on top, but I had planned to switch it up and be on bottom occasionally depending on who I was going with. So was trying not to be too rigid, was trying to be able to adapt when I was out there depending on who I was going up against and how that day was kind of going. So try to keep a close eye on everybody as they were competing and trying to see what their plans were coming out.
you do a lot of stuff with the body lock that I kind of wanted to ask you about. You tend to play with the body lock a little bit, but you're not super rigid. If it's not working immediately, you tend to go to something else. Is there a specific reason that you decide to do and play like that?
Well, in the last match, and forgive me, the gentleman's name from Standard, I can't think of his name right now. Brian. I mean, one, he was very powerful, and I saw he was pretty comfortable fending off the body lock. So I was like, ooh, let's not stay here too long because he's elevating me really easy too. So there was a couple times I tried for it, and I was like, man, he fended that off pretty well. So I was like, all right, let's try some of the float passing. Staying tight with this guy is going to be difficult. And
so recently, you've been competing frequently. You've been winning here at Copa, Virginia. What other changes are you making to your game to kind of keep you in this winning path?
I mean, it's like we talked about, man. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't love competing. You know, I'm a martial artist first. I want to just be the best person that I can be. I want to try to put a good example out there for my students, for my family, and I want to keep myself honest. You know, I don't want to just be out there teaching theory. I want to go out there while I'm healthy and see what I'm about, and make sure I'm practicing what I'm preaching. So this past month at the school, we were actually teaching passing, for gi classes, and now I'm doing it for no gi. So I'm like, man, I need to go out there and try some of this stuff and make sure it works, and that's really the honest truth where it's coming from as far as what we're planning to go out there with.
That's awesome. So you're not a huge fan of competing, but we do see you competing frequently. Do you have anything on the near horizon that we're going to see you competing in, either in Maryland or beyond?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing this year that I'd like to do is the ADCC trials. As long as I'm healthy, I'm going to keep going for those until maybe, I can win one of those and make it to the next stage. But that's my long-term goal, so that'll be the big plan for this year is to gear up for that. So Mawa's going to be next weekend. I'm going to go do that wrestling event and try to work on my stand-up, and we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah, we've been at East Coast Trials and West Coast Trials and seen you compete a couple of times there. Always very, very impressed. It's awesome to see you still going out to those events as well as competing locally here at events like Copa, Virginia. As always, congratulations, great performance. Can't wait to see it again.
Thank you. And I just want to thank you guys again for putting on an awesome event. You guys, the staff here, everybody just excellent, and very, very grateful to all of you for what you guys do out here and just making jiu-jitsu exciting and making this fun for everybody. And just, yeah.
Awesome, as always, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Fantastic question for him.